Hey guys, MadHooker here. One of my favorite all-time fighters is Jack Dempsey, and this is his book, Championship Fighting. Explosive punching and aggressive defense. If you do not have a copy of this book, it's really cheap to find. Amazon or other websites sell it for around $20. So if you don't have it, you have to purchase this book. A lot of good nuggets, good insights are in this book. So in this video, I'm going to focus on Jack Dempsey and his fighting style. So the first thing we got to focus on is what Jack Dempsey calls the fighting stance. Your fighting stance for boxing or street fighting or fist fighting. Now let's begin. So what Jack Dempsey covers in his book is 3 different fighting stances, and it's all has to do with how you stand. So the first fighting stance that he talks about is standing tall. So like an upright stance. So basically, when you're in your fighting stance, you're standing upright. Now this is the stance that he says he doesn't recommend. So fighting tall. Like you see a lot of people where they stand more upright, fighting tall. That is the first variation. The second variation is what he calls the medium crouch or the semi-crouch. This is the one he uses or prefers when he's fighting on the outside. So Jack Dempsey, now you're going to be in a medium crouch. Obviously, if I'm right-handed, I'm going to have my left side forward. If you're southpaw, you'll switch, have your left side or your strong side in the rear. So in that medium crouch, I'm going to crouch down about halfway. I'm going to keep this hand up more and this one out and a little bit lower. So Jack Dempsey likes to hold his hands here. You also see in a lot of his fight and training videos that Dempsey will actually lower that hand a little bit. I call this, well, there's 2 names I call it. Either the gunslinger, because it's kind of like you're going to draw your gun from your hip. When you have it here, you can jab up and whatnot. Or I can call it the dragon's tail, where it's kind of like the dragon's tail out front. Okay? Just for the sake of the video, I'm going to call it the gunslinger. So you're in that medium crouch. The third variation is the low crouch. So your low crouch. Now you're not going to fight on the outside like this. Usually you'll get closer to your opponent in the medium crouch, and then as you start bobbing and weaving, especially against a taller fighter, you'll go more to that low crouch where he bends more at the back. You're going to notice in a lot of Jack Dempsey, especially when he comes to defense, when he does the slipping and the bobbing and weaving, he does a lot of his bobbing and weaving where he hinges at the lower back. Okay, just keep in mind, if you're trying to use these maneuvers in amateur boxing, especially in USA amateur boxing, you can't bend straight over and look down, have your head down. You got to squat down and have your head up, or the referee is going to call you out on it. So just a quick review. You got the upright boxing stance, you got that medium crouch where Jack Dempsey prefers, and then you got that low crouch. So once you understand the 3 different stances, we're just going to go to basic footwork that he covers in the book. Basically moving forward, moving back, and going side to side. So he calls it the shuffle. So shuffle forward. So let's start from that medium crouch. I'm just gonna, if I'm moving forward, I'm gonna step first with that lead foot. Remember, when you're using boxing footwork, and this applies to all different styles of boxing, the direction that you're traveling, the foot closest to that direction moves first. So if I'm in that medium crouch, if I'm going to go forward, my lead foot's going to move first. I'm going to step, and then I'm going to bring this rear foot right behind it. Step again. So there's 2 variations you can do with this. I can step, 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 or I can drag that rear foot. I can step, slide, or drag. Step, slide. Okay? I prefer to step. My personal opinion, I like to step, 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 step. Okay, especially when you get boxing shoes into a canvas ring, sometimes when you drag your foot will stick, so it's easier to lift your foot up and take a little step. So that's advancing forward, the shuffle forward. So again, I'm just going to step, 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 step. Now going backwards or retreating, so that shuffle, retreat shuffle, I'm just, remember, my rear foot is now closest to the direction of travel, correct? So I'm going to step, 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 or step, slide. Step, slide. So going forward, step, 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 step. Going backwards, step, slide, step, slide. So now we learn to move forward, advancing forward, and retreating. Now we're going to do the side step. So we're going to go lateral. So from that stance here, that medium crouch, if I go to the right-hand side, my right foot is closest to that direction, correct? So I'm going to step, step. Okay? Step, step. Now if I go back to the left-hand side, I'm going to take my left foot, step, step. Step, step. Okay? So now let's go forward, backwards, right, and left. So I'm in that medium crouch. I'm going to go forward, forward, back, back, to my right, again, and then to my left. So that's the shuffle, and you're shuffling your feet, moving all 4 directions. So another component of the sidestep is circling. So when I'm in that medium crouch, remember if I just go to sidestep, let's say I'm cutting the ring off and moving with my opponent. I'm just going to sidestep, sidestep. But I can also circle with the sidestep. So instead of stepping directly to my right and then stepping again, I'm going to step at an angle and kind of turn my hips as I do my second step. So this is circling. So I'm here, I'm going to step at an angle, and then when I step again, I turn my hips. So you can see where I'm actually circling now. Same thing if I go back to the left-hand side, I'm going to step out, step. You see how I turn? So this is more circling with your opponent. So again, normal side step, I'm going to step, 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 step. All right, just sidestepping to the side. But if I want to circle with it, I step more at an angle on my first step, turn my hips as I take that second step. So when I'm here, you see where I can start turning my hips. Okay, so if I want to circle to my left-hand side, I step out, and as I take that second step, I turn my hips. So you see where I'm circling, and then I can speed it up to move. This is circling using the side step.